All right, so we are at the Blue Ammonia meeting. This is a rescheduled meeting from the St. Rose meeting. While there are some entities recording tonight, in the past I've been dissatisfied with how WDSU covers this, so I'm going to record the whole thing, and hopefully this will provide information that people need to know what's going on.
Good evening. Let the record reflect that the time is 6:02 p.m. on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. Good evening, folks. We'll go ahead and get started. Let the record reflect that the time is 6:02 p.m. on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. My name is Mike Gabe. I will be serving as the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality hearing officer this evening. This hearing is scheduled to accept public comments on a rescheduled public hearing and extension of public comment for proposed initial modified minor source air operating permit and the associated environmental assessment statement, EAS, for St. Charles Clean Fuels LLC, Blue Ammonia Facility, AI number 236110, activity permit ER 2023-0001, and permit number 2520-00187-00. The facility is located at 11842 River Road, St. Rose, St. Charles Parish. St. Charles Clean Fuels LLC requested an initial minor source permit to construct and operate the new blue ammonia production facility. The EAS submitted by the applicant addresses avoidance of potential and real environmental effects, balancing the social and economic benefits against environmental impact costs, and alternative sites, projects, and mitigative measures. This hearing is not conducted in a question and answer format. I repeat, this hearing is not being conducted in a question and answer format. Please remember that the purpose of this public hearing is for the LDEQ to receive your comments concerning the proposed initial permit in EAS. Please remember that the purpose of this public hearing is for the LDEQ to receive your comments concerning the proposed initial permit and EAS. Also, please be aware that the hearing officer and the staff of the public participation group are not decision makers on this proposed initial permit and EAS. Please be aware that the hearing officer and the staff of the public participation group are not decision makers on the proposed initial permit and EAS. My role as the hearing officer is to conduct the public hearing and accept comments regarding the proposed initial permit and EAS for the LDEQ. This hearing is to provide all individuals a chance to be heard, regardless of their position on the proposed initial permit and EAS. Courteous behavior is expected of everyone at all times. You may speak in support of the proposed project, in opposition to the proposed project, or simply provide additional information. All interested parties will be given a reasonable opportunity to comment unless testimony is not related to the purpose of this hearing. All comments heard and transcribed during this hearing and all written comments received during the comment period will be evaluated and addressed in the LDEQ's written responses to public comments. A public notice advertising this public hearing and request for public comment on the proposed initial permit in EAS was published on the LDEQ public notice webpage on Thursday, August 22nd, 2024, and Thursday, November 7th, 2024. A copy of the proposed initial permit in EAS is available for inspection review at the LDEQ Public Record Center, 602 North Fifth Street, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Viewing hours are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, except holidays. In addition, additional copies are also available for you at the St. Charles Parish Library, St. Rose Range, 90 East Club Drive, St. Rose, Louisiana, 70087. The available information can also be accessed electronically on the Electronic Document Management System, EDMS, on the LDEQ public website at www.deq.louisiana.gov. In addition, on Thursday, August 22nd, 2024, and Thursday, November 7th, 2024, copies of the public notice were mailed and emailed to individuals who have requested to be placed on the hard copy and email mailing list maintained by the LDEQ office for environmental services. In accordance with the Louisiana Administrative Code, Title 33, Part 3, Section 531.A.3.c, comments received by 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Wednesday, December 18, 2024, will be considered timely received comments. Again, comments received by 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Wednesday, December 18, 2024, will be considered timely received comments. All comments heard and transcribed from this hearing and all timely received comments shall be returned by the LDEQ and considered prior to reaching a final decision. Written comments on the proposed initial permit, the EAS, may be submitted online on the public notice webpage, http://www.eq.louisiana.gov/public-notices. Mailed to LDEQ, Public Participation Group, P.O. Box 4313, Baton Rouge, Louisiana 70821, or submitted via personal delivery or email at deq.publicnotices@la.gov. Pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 30:2025.3.23, open parentheses A, close parentheses, open parentheses 2, close parentheses, notice of the final decision must be given to commenters by ordinary mail. Therefore, commenters wish to receive notice of the final decision must include a complete mailing address when submitting comments. Notice of the final decision will be mailed to those who made timely comments and provide a complete mailing address. To those who request to be notified of the final decision and to the applicant. Louisiana Revised Statute 30:2017 requires the LDEQ to proceed in the following speaking order. Speaking order is determined based upon the information provided on your speaker registration form. It is based on the parish of residence, the parish of employment, or at the discretion of the hearings officer, where the speaker is a public official. If you did not provide your residence or work information on the speaker registration form, you will still be able to speak, however, you can speak last. The department shall provide up to 30 minutes to the applicant for an introductory presentation. Afterwards, preference for speaking up to 1 hour is given as follows. First, up to 1 hour to those citizens who live within a 2-mile radius of the location of the proposed project. Second, up to 1 hour to those citizens who work within a 2-mile radius of the location of the proposed project. Third, up to 1 hour to those citizens who live within the parish or the location of the proposed project. Thereafter, each hour of the hearing shall alternate between those who are in support of the proposed initial permit and EAS and those who are opposed. Pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 30:2017, open parentheses B, close parentheses, open parentheses 3, close parentheses, the hearing officer may give preference to a public official to speak at any time during the hearing. However, any time limit set for citizen testimony shall also apply to public officials. An initial time limit of 3 minutes will be provided to each speaker. An additional time limit of 3 minutes will be provided to each speaker. However, if you need additional time, they speak again once everyone has had an opportunity to speak and provide comments. This hearing will remain open for a minimum of 1 hour to allow any late arriving people an opportunity to speak. This hearing is being transcribed. Therefore, I will ask that each speaker begin by stating for the record their name, address, and any organization he or she may represent. I would also like to remind you to please silence your cell phones. Thank you. At this time, I would like the applicant representative to come forward and make their presentation.
You can hear me? Yeah, very good. So, good evening, everyone. I won't take 30 minutes, I promise. My name is John Baguley. I'm honored to represent St. Charles Clean Fuels. First, I'd like to thank the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality for arranging and hosting this hearing. I'd like to extend the gratitude of our project to all of you for taking the time to join us and attend this evening. The participation is incredibly important, and we deeply appreciate everything. At St. Charles Clean Fuels, we recognize the privilege and responsibility of working in St. Charles Parish. This project represents more than an investment in clean energy. It is rooted in 3 commitments: safety, sustainability, and economic opportunity. As a project, we're committed to building a project that not only meets the highest standards of safety and environment, but also contributes to the long-term growth and prosperity of St. Charles Parish. From creating quality jobs and investing in workforce development to partnering with local organizations and small businesses, we aim to be a responsible neighborhood partner. We understand and prioritize protecting the environment and the health of our employees and the community, which is why our facility will utilize cutting-edge proven technology that will help set new standards for low-carbon industrial projects. This makes it one of the most advanced and environmentally responsible facilities of its kind. Safety remains at the heart of everything we do. Our design includes multiple layers of protection for our employees, for our neighbors, and the environment. We're committed to complying with all regulatory standards, ensuring transparency every step of the way. Beyond our technical commitments, we're also investing in the community. We're proud to work alongside local organizations like Hope St. Rose and IMTT to sponsor events, support workforce development programs, and foster economic opportunities for local families and businesses. These efforts reflect our belief that strong relationships build strong communities. We understand that projects like these can raise questions, and that's why we're here tonight, to listen to your concerns and create opportunities to follow up. For all of you to engage and learn more about the project, we're committed to being a good neighbor, one that prioritizes your safety, your trust, and the well-being of your parish. Thank you.
I would like to call any public officials who wish to speak at this time.
Nobody's here. Michelle or Daniel. I don't know if she's going to speak.
Okay, if any public officials at any time would like to speak, please let me know and I will let you speak.
Where's the parish president? Where's our parish president?
So now,
That's what we want, President.
Sir, please, we have an order. I would appreciate you assisting us and letting everybody have a chance to speak. You will have an opportunity to speak if you sign the registration form. If you didn't sign the registration form, you can get one out front and we'll allow you a chance to speak. So now persons who have signed up to speak will be allowed 3 minutes to wish to present their comments. Please remember, if you can't finish your comments within 3 minutes, when everybody has had a chance to speak, we'll give it another opportunity to speak. First to speak will be those citizens who live within a 2-mile radius of location proposed project. That's going to be done in order that you arrived and submitted your form. The first speaker will be Clifton Bullard.
Hey, excuse me, can you turn the podium around so they can face us?
He's talking to
Would that be okay?
because they're talking to
I'm sorry, but it would probably be better for him to face this direction so that the court reporter can take a transcription of his comments.
Good evening. My name is Clifton Bullard. I reside at number 3 County Lane in St. Rose, Louisiana. That is about 1 mile due east of the proposed facility. But first, I want to thank LDEQ for calling this meeting again to give it a larger facility so that more people can express their views. I've resided here since 1989, that's 35 years. At the time me and my family moved here, the area of St. Rose along River Road, primarily a rural area, consisting of residential neighborhoods, small businesses, and agricultural properties. IMTT was already in place, and since then, many of the spawn properties have been developed into residential properties, and during that time, IMTT has grown within its existing footprint. The large swamp at the rear of the IMTT property is wetlands, and with very limited development potential, was generally just various pipeline right-of-ways. The proposed St. Charles Clean Fuel Blue Ammonia plant is planned to be built on approximately 250 acres on a site that is currently designated wetlands. The plans include bringing in over 2 million cubic yards of fill to raise the elevation of the site about 11 feet. This will disrupt the neighboring area's currently fragile drainage patterns. It will also have about a 3-year construction period with substantial truckloads of fill and heavy construction equipment and materials that will stress the traffic areas along our two-lane River Road, that's LA 48. The size of the project will result in up to a 110-foot high facility of towers and vessels that were built in the site. This will be a very unsightly, noisy, and brightly lit complex that upsets the current quiet, natural beauty that we enjoy as we pass the existing school property. I've attended the open house, two open houses hosted by the applicant to learn more about the project, so I can understand what's going on. I was told that the end user of the blue ammonia is primarily going to be the European market, that the European market is demanding clean fuels. So St. Charles Clean Fuels will extract the CO2 in its process and inject that waste into local wells in our area and ship the clean fuel overseas. So the Europeans can benefit from the clean fuel, but we are left with the waste that nobody wants. Our local neighbors, we're going to experience noise, fumes, traffic, and injected waste. The current federal tax laws provide significant tax credit incentives for projects such as this that I believe makes that this project becomes economically feasible because of those tax credits. But I'm hard pressed to determine what benefit our local residents will gain from this project, and I recommend denial of the yield permits.
The next speaker will be Marshall Dickerson.
Marshall. Sit down. Hand it.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank LDEQ for holding this meeting and allowing enough room for everyone to get in. But when we talk about some problems, some of the problems have already begun. They started a few years back on property that the old folks fished on and hunted. When you could go down St. Louis Avenue, and there was so many crawfish crossing the road after a fresh rain, you could pick them up with a shovel. People lined St. Louis Avenue up fishing. I haven't seen a crawfish and over 13 years, not a one on St. Louis Avenue after the rain. A lot of the different animals have dissipated. The thing is that I hear the gentleman talking about being a good neighbor. Being a good neighbor also consists of letting your neighbors know what's going on before you do it. We did not receive any type of letter, notification that this was going to even start. Now, I understand that they had supposed to have some kind of committee that was meeting, a St. Rose committee that's supposed to be meeting with IMTT. I got news for you. The committee that was meeting and knew what was going on and did not let the people of St. Charles, not St. Rose, St. Charles Parish know what was going on. They not much of a committee because we have so many different developments now that we really, I would like IMTT to look at getting a person out of each area going forward. But back to the thing that we really need. I'm afraid for my grandchildren because St. Rose has a school right there, and it's a mile and a half from this here blue ammonia plant. What would happen? What would happen if something goes wrong? So please consider not putting the plant up there. Please. Thank you.
And Norma Johnson.
All right, Donna. Hey, hey.
Good evening. Thank y'all for holding this meeting and again allowing us to come out, as many of you all, to express our feelings concerning this. I'm a resident of Elkinsville. It's a very historical site. It's very valuable, unique, and sacred to us. We have cemeteries, churches, lives, houses. The cemeteries is where our ancestors are, where our parents and grandparents, great-grandparents are. Our churches, we have to worship there. We need the air, we need the land. Our parents left us a legacy, left us houses, land, resources, a safe place that we can raise our children, our offspring, our grandchildren. Like they said before, we have a school that's not even a mile away. This plant will destroy all the resources that we have. We won't be able to produce, we won't be able to garden, have resources for vegetation, fruits. This clean, blue ammonia plant will take all of our resources. Everything will be gone. 1 week from this company, from this plant, will destroy our oxygen.
Amen.
We can't live without oxygen. We can't breathe without oxygen.
All right now.
There will be no more global warming. Because the stuff we're putting in the ground, that means we can't produce no fruits, no vegetables. We can't raise no animals, no hogs, no cows, no meat, no beef. No nothing. And if it's none of that,
It's no life.
it's none of us.
That's right.
We need to live here. Thank you so much.
All right.
Please state your name and address for the court order to take down. The next speaker is Becca.
You go, Beck. You want to call it straight down?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Your name, your address, and the order to take down.
Hello, good evening. I'm Becca Hillburn. I live at 40 Melrose Drive in Destrehan, Louisiana. I am in the 2-mile radius. My husband looked it up today, and we are 1.7 miles away. I have a autoimmune disorder known as Sjogren's syndrome. I got that after we lived in Norco, Louisiana for 2 years. I am a teacher in this area, and my biggest concern is for the children who live in St. Rose, who live in Destrehan, who live on the West Bank. I don't want anybody to have what I have. I don't want anybody's life to be basically snuffed out at 38. And from what I understand, and now I'm gonna probably call on my husband and he can explain this better, blue ammonia has a bad track record. There is no way clean fuels can do what they propose to do. These promises are just gonna kill us all. And we're gonna have life. I moved back down here from Nashville, Tennessee, where I had a life and I had opportunities, because I love Louisiana. You can't drive over the interstate without loving Louisiana. This is going to be an eyesore. This is going to be something that people who fly into our airport are going to see first thing. This is a poor representation of Louisiana. And as you heard from these people, it's going to ruin our livestock, our livelihoods, and our health. I think this is a poor agreement. I think this is a bad economic decision, and I think we're gonna ruin St. Charles Parish within 25 years with these kinds of choices. If you want to support industry and economics in St. Charles Parish, you need to support the small businesses. You need to support the teachers, the nurses, the creators. You need to support the people who are doing and making things, who live here now, not somebody who's coming in and going to export all of our resources to another country and just leave us with cancer and illness. Yeah. There, teed them up for you.
Yeah.
I'm coming down. Sorry.
You can hold on to, keep going. You can hold on to me.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
Please state your name, address, and if you're with our organization.
I'm Joseph Coco. I live at 40 Melrose Drive. I'm representing myself. I submitted many of these comments as written comments, so I'm just going to give you some highlights here. I think that the air permit request at St. Charles Clean Fuels Blue Ammonia facility has a lot of issues. They talked about some of the cool technology they're going to be using. I'm not going to deny that, but I do think that they're over-promising. They say they're going to have 99% for both nitric oxide and carbon dioxide reduction, but real-world facilities that are currently using these technologies, they're getting more like 90% for nitrous oxide and 90 to 95% for CO2. So I think the reason why they're doing this is because they're coming in just under the Title V permit thresholds. So it seems to me like they're trying to misrepresent how much they're actually going to be polluting so that they can get away with doing less diligence to make sure that they're not polluting to our airs and those sort of things. So these claim deficiencies, I don't think that they're real. They might be close, but not close enough. I also think they have major safety and quality of, or I have major safety and quality of life concerns with the permits that were submitted. They lack ammonia transfer procedures, they lack leak detection specifics, and repair protocols. There's no noise impact assessment, despite ammonia plants being notorious for loud compressors, turbines flaring, those sort of things. As everyone said, this is just going to be an eyesore. There's odor issues. Ammonia is a very strong smell, even at low concentrations. Plus, they're releasing VOCs, sulfur compounds, that sort of thing that also stink. And this is on top of the current odor problems that's coming from INTT's site. So the problems of frustration that they have. We have over 4,600 orphan oil and gas wells in southeast Louisiana, which provide pathways for the CO2 to leak out that we plan on storing underground. That CO2 is compressed at 1,000 to 5,000 psi, and that can force salt water into our freshwater supplies and further hurt our fishing and our drinking water. I also have issues with the site selection. So they included some arbitrary requirements like railroad access, even though they're not going to be using the railroads. The Wellham site was rolled out mainly due to some supposed cultural resources, but I looked at their ArcGIS map, and only a tiny edge of that map has an archaeological site listed, and the State Historic Preservation Office doesn't list any cultural resources there. So they couldn't have rolled out this site in St. James. That would have been a perfectly fine site for them to consider this plan. They also dismissed several sites for having prime farmland, even though they're going to be destroying wetlands where they're planning on building this. And wetlands provide between $5,000 and $70,000 dollars per acre, whereas the best farmland only provides about $14,000. So I also wanted to mention, we talked about all the fill that they're going to be bringing in. It's going to be a drainage disaster. All the stormwater runoff is going to be heading north towards Airline Highway to the Cross Bayou Canal Pump Station, which is a station that's getting old. The drainage problems are dependent on this pump being manned and in good repair. The parish just yesterday assumed the responsibility for this pump, so away from the Pontchartrain Levee District. So the parish would absorb any costs that come about from having to upgrade this pump. And I really just think that this permit application has a lot of problems. I wish that we would have a better review of it, and I think LDEQ would do a good thing if they reviewed it with more scrutiny. Thank you.
Tony Green.
At 3 minutes, sure does cramp a stomach, doesn't it?
You might need help.
Oh, Lord, if I'm helping y'all, if I fall, y'all just pick me up.
The first bout don't hurt that much.
Good evening, sir. My name is Mr. Green. I live here in St. Rose at 243 Forward Street. I'm right in front of the track of the proposed chemical plant. I just want to say no such thing as a clean chemical. As a boy at 16, I watched blaze of fire come out from shell, all the way from shell to cactus, and kill my partner. Burnt him to death. Burnt Miss Helen to death. That's not safe. That's chemical. No safe chemical plant. But we got to stop thinking about money and start thinking
All right
about
now.
human life. That's what's clean. Human life.
Thank you, buddy. All right, thank you. All right, thank you. You all right out
Rosemary Green.
Wait, long roll. Yes, thank you. I didn't know. I know. Take your time. One more. There you go. Shake it off. Let him have it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rosemary Green. I live at 243 4th Street, St. Rose. That was my husband, by the way. He had that experience, and it's sad enough as it is. My experience is just a little bit different. I thank the Father that I'm still here, and that I can actually talk about it. But I had an experience in my home one Saturday morning where I could not breathe. I woke up that morning and it wasn't, the scent didn't come in right then, it was just a little at a time. But then all of a sudden, it came pouring in, and it was so bad that it took my breath away. For the first time in my life, I became confused, and I had my phone in my hand, and I was wondering, who can I call? That was an experience out of this world to me, because I'm used to being in control, so I thought. But that day was an eye-opener for me. And I started praying, and I got on the phone, and I called 911. Now this is where it took a turn. They came over. But the craziest thing was I hadn't walked outside my house, and I was throwing up. Eyes burning, throat burning, stomach upset. IMTT was aware that something had happened, because just that quick, there were people coming up my street. They were actually scanning the area. They were scanning the area already. So that meant they already knew there was an incident that happened, right?
Yeah.
But what made it even worse was to have the emergency medical show up. And they took my blood pressure. And you know how put the thing on and you pump it up real quick, they deflated it faster. The young lady deflated it a lot faster than she pumped it up. And then she said, oh, you got blood pressure of 128/80. Corruption? Is that not corruption? Somebody's getting paid. Look, y'all don't want to say it, I'm going to say it. Somebody's getting paid under the table. Just like the gentleman mentioned, we had nobody, I live on the fence line. We didn't hear anything about this proposed ammonia facility. Didn't hear anything. And now y'all asking us to trust IMTT, who just got through, they got was fined, you already know about that, right? $173,000 just recently. And by the way, that incident happened with me right after they got fined. Right after they were fined, I had this incident. And then you talk about jobs.
Job?
Tell those people the truth when they bring their poison home to their family.
Nah.
When it's in their skin.
Yeah.
I work for an insurance company. Do y'all know that the life expectancy of these people are 5 to 10 years after retirement? Where are the oligarchs that's funding all this mess? Taxpayers? Do y'all realize how much money that y'all pay? Do y'all know that once they frack up that ground, you're left with having to pay to have that thing covered years later? Years later, because right now, y'all have like, what, almost 500,000 uncapped wells here? That's now seeping into your ground. Y'all better get on the line and find out what's happening in the state of Louisiana. This is not just a Louisiana problem. This is a world problem, y'all. Biden gave those people $391 billion. $391 billion of your money. Your taxpayers' dollars.
Ms. Green?
Yes, sir.
Please give up the microphone so the next speaker can come on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
You'll have
you.
an opportunity to come back.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Kimbrelle Kyereh.
That's cheap. No, you use
Good evening. My name is Kimbrelle Eugene-Kyereh, 333 2nd Street in St. Rose, Louisiana. I am the founder and executive director of Refined Community, Refined Community Empowerment Incorporated. It's an organization that was started to safeguard myself, my family, and my community. I was born and raised in Elkinsville, Freetown, right on the fence line. And as long as I can remember, I have smelled chemicals from the International Matex Tank Terminal. And then as I asked around, because after Hurricane Ida, the scent, the fumes from IMTT seemed to have gotten worse. My dad, born in 1935, can recall smelling the chemicals from the neighboring tank farm when he was a boy. Of course, it was called City Services back then, but we've always been negatively impacted by the tank farm, the bulk storage facility. I'm going to just give you a quick story. I have a lot to say. I know I just have limited time. I was a teacher. I am a teacher. I was a teacher here in St. Charles Parish in 1997. And to get to the point, I lost my pregnancy at 5.5 months. Her name was Sarah. And a cousin of mine asked me, she said, Kim, do you think that we lost our pregnancies because of all of these chemicals around us? And I wondered. I was working next to Shell, oil refinery, and living next to the International Mid-Tex Tank Terminal. So years later, cousin, yes. Because according to scientists, that is one of the possible side effects of some of these chemicals. Thanks to one of the nonprofits, I was able to get a sample of toxins outside my door on 2nd Street. The second one that I got, it says that, the report says, one community member in the St. Rose area found it necessary to leave her home some nights due to experiencing extreme negative health impacts associated with toxic emissions being released by the INTT facility. The community member, being me, had been provided with a Zuma canister and taught how to use it. I'm gonna have to get to the point. On the occasion on November 22nd, 2024, the air inside her home had the highest quantity of acetone, followed by N-hexane and 2-propanol benzene, a known cancer-causing agent, was detected in the air, as well as the other chemicals. These chemicals were not just outside my home, they enter my home. I have to keep moving. In a recent visit to EPA Region 6, this scientist said in Dallas for a meeting with Dr. Erthia Nance, Regional Administrator for EPA Region 6, Dr. Nance responded that no one should have to leave their home due to contaminated air from an industrial source, because I've had to leave my home, self-evacuate, to try to get away from the toxic fumes coming into my home. I am asking LDEQ to please do not permit this air permit to St. Charles Clean Fuels, because it seems to me, as a teacher, it seems to me like we're being environmentally bullied because of the length of time that we've been getting these chemicals into our home and into our neighborhoods. The power, it's an imbalance of power, and all of these things really come down to environmental bullying. If I have an opportunity to speak a little bit longer, I'll come back. I appreciate your time.
Like it smells inside, not outside.
Happy beer.
Good evening. You never tell if this sounds right. I live at, again, my name is Patrick Beard. I live at 3756 Carroll Drive in Destrehan, just around the corner from here. I am in support of this project because, just like many other people who live in this parish, I appreciate the government services that this parish has. Not just the school systems, which continually ranks in the top of the state, but also in all of the other myriad of services that we just appreciate and kind of take for granted here. And industry has paid for pretty much all of the government services we've had for decades, and projects like this will continue that trend and will hopefully accelerate it further towards better services, more for the community, and better overall quality of life.
Okay.
And that's it. Now do support the project.
Michelle Smith.
You're not going to have a quality.
Okay, good evening. I don't have this prepared for my concerns. First of all, I'd like to thank the LDEQ for hosting this, but I'd also like to say I did not appreciate the statement they submitted about the last hearing, saying that it was an organized attempt to hinder economic growth and prosperity for the state and local communities. We're concerned about our futures and our health. These facilities do increase our risk for cancer. Myself, I'm only 21 years old, and I've developed 4 breast tumors. I had to get surgery, and IMTT doesn't foot the bill. We pay up that $20,000 surgery. Another thing, this is kind of being presented as some net good for our society, but using the EPA's greenhouse gas equivalencies calculator, there's a projected $26 million climate-related social cost that is going to affect our community. And another thing is air pollutants. IMTT is just an exporting facility, but with the ammonia plant being a production facility, that's going to increase the airborne pollutants we're exposed to. I'd like you guys to go outside. If you pick up leaves, you'll notice that a lot of leaves have these black spots on them. Yeah. Airborne pollutants weaken plants' defenses against fungal infection. So that is actually the reason why a lot of your plants die. And these allowed emissions aren't costless. They affect our well-beings, our health, and unfortunately, there's no way for us to really let them incur the cost. We have to take on the cost for the risk that they give to us. And another thing too, St. Rose is primarily a community of color. There's a long history with companies and environmental racism. They place these plants specifically next to communities. They place these plants specifically within communities that are low income, people of color that aren't frankly going to have the resources to fight these ginormous corporations on how it affects them. And again, with the smells, those smells aren't processed. That's us breathing in these chemicals and shortening our lifespans. So again, I'd just like to say that while they will provide jobs to some extent and other, I guess, profits, I don't think it's worth the cost to our health. And I don't think that the people profiting from this are going to set their houses next to IMTT
I would again ask all the speakers to please state your name and your address and what organization and the name of the organization. Our next speaker is George Vance.
Come on. Come ahead.
My name is George Vance. I live at 153 Oak Manor Lane, St. Rose, and I'm with the Concerned Citizens of St. Rose. We're currently in a battle with LDEQ permitting process, not only for plants, but also for subdivisions. We have a contaminated project being developed right now in St. Rose called Ammonia Gardens LLC. I have an active complaint now with LDEQ about the contaminated land. We don't need more contaminated land in St. Rose. We have enough. Why? There's land here where the old oil refinery was, it's wasteland. Why don't they build a chemical plant on that then, since it's already low waste? Because they don't want to work with there, that's why. They couldn't get insurance for their employees if they worked on a contaminated site like that. And now you're gonna build another one, you're gonna build a swamp. You're gonna flood us out. And all the water's gonna be contaminated, all the flood water's gonna be contaminated like it is now. We already have sewer in our flood waters. So all this is going to do is just negatively impact the parish totally. We moved here, yet they need to make up their mind. Do they want residents or they want business? You know? It's a fair question. So we'll leave that to Matt Jewell to decide.
Hey, where's he at? Where's Matt Jewell at?
Yeah, where's our president?
Sam Abate Jr.
Right. One this time. Go ahead. Give me up here. Right now.
Sam Abate Jr. I'm 164 Oakland Lane, St. Rose. I've lived here in St. Rose for 76 years. And I've seen a lot of decisions our parish has made that just doesn't take into account the citizens that live here. They don't realize that, in fact, I just had my assessment go up this past year in Hampton Roads. So why does the parish need more money? That's the only reason why they're approving this, if they have. So drainage is going to be a problem. That wetlands back there is kind of like, that's where the water goes. If it doesn't have a place to go, it's going to stay where it starts. Drainage, you're going to have more employees going to that plant. That means more traffic. Traffic on River Road right now is horrific. And I live right off Ammonia Road, and the state does not take care of that. Anything as far as River Road, that's their responsibility, and Abate Road, and they wouldn't build all these truck stops back there, so traffic is going to be terrible. And I really don't think with all the pollutants that we already have, we live in Cancer Alley from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, that's what it's called. I really think that this is a bad plan for St. Charles Parish, especially the residents of St. Rose. And I think it needs to be put to death.
Jay Smith.
Smith. Good afternoon,
ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jay Smith. I represent the people of St. Rose right here. I came here over 40 years ago. I built my home with my own 2 hands. I raised 2 children. I'm raising 2 grandchildren now. Okay? I've been in the business, AC and refrigeration business, for over 40 years. Anybody remember A&P?
Yeah.
I worked on those. They had ammonia in those units. They are dead. Okay? I worked in plants. Ammonia. They are dead. I know the effects of ammonia firsthand. Effect of our air, our wetlands, and will never be the same if you let the plant go there. Because we've already, as the man said, we can't have, we already got problems. Second off, there's a school 1 mile. Would you like your child to be in that school while you at work in that plant? Yeah, they say all they got was luxurious things and this and that. This man here, he can break. Look at Norma. Look at INTT. Okay? So, second off, this company ain't even from you. They from Denmark.
Yeah, right now.
Denmark gives a crap about us. Okay. So, to me, it all comes down to the shareholders and the profits, and I hate to say it, good old Louisiana politics is getting paid off. It's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's a question of when it's going to happen.
All right now.
When are you going to be in your home? When are you going to go put your child at school and you can't get to it? If this thing's so safe to go, sir, put it on the house.
Do it.
Ryant Price.
Good evening. My name is Ryant Price. I have 101.
Get the mic, Doc. Get the mic.
I'm sorry. Ryant Price. I reside at 101 Blue Sydney Drive in St. Louis. I want to talk to you about three things: the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. Elkinsville is a designated historic town with a historic mark on River Road. We're represented here today by every community that comprises St. Rose, the town of St. Rose, and the 5th Councilman District of St. Charles Parish. Here in St. Rose, we're primarily a quaint residential community. We have great schools and we have great neighbors. We're surrounded by lush swamp, wetlands, and agricultural lands. We look out of our doors and along our roads, we see alligators, turtles, fish species, raccoons, rabbits, birds of prey, all different type of flower and fauna. Right now, there are no chemical manufacturing plants in St. Rose, only IMTT storage. In the shadow of IMTT, the Hall of Fame football player Ann Reed's Foundation built a playground in St. Rose because there was a need for it. Let's talk about the bad. Like I said, right now, there are no chemical vapor monitoring in place between IMTT and residential St. Rose. There was one that was removed without any community knowledge or input. To the best of my knowledge, there is still none in place today. There's talks of having an air monitor, but we have yet to have an air monitor. So we riding down the road like I did this past weekend, and the air around IMTT was so thick that I didn't even want to talk. The vapor smell concerns right now, without a manufacturing facility in place, these concerns go as far as the furthest St. Rose communities on both east and west of IMTT, as well as south across the Mississippi River. St. Charles Clean Fields and Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners and most of the IMTT management team are not residents of St. Rose and therefore have no vested interest in our town. The ugly. I retired from Cornerstone Chemical Corporation. At Cornerstone Chemical Corporation, they manufactured Kellogg Ammonia. They also manufactured methanexis methanol, which was the same process basically as ammonia, other than for the back end. Both of those operations were very similar in production with hydrogen and natural gas feedstocks, highly flammable and highly explosive. As a member of the Cornerstone Safety Team and Fire Brigade, I have seen and fought both hydrogen leak fires and natural gas fires. I've seen a natural gas line explosion that mangled a 36-inch pipeline and launched a 2,500-pound control valve over 30 feet high onto a platform where operators would have been taking reading rounds. Thank God it happened between shifts and no operators were in the unit. The root cause revealed that there was no root cause. Simply something must have broken loose in the line. This proposed facility would disrupt critically needed wetlands that now act as our water retention to help lessen the burden of area flooding. Everything on the east bank of St. Charles Parish drains to that one canal along the tracks by IMTT. Everything. Total west east bank. The disruption of these wetlands would displace countless number of naturally occurring wildlife. LDEQ is the conservator of wetlands, as well as suggested environmental quality. St. Rose says no to ammonia manufacturing plant in our community. St. Rose says no to sequestered CO2 in our community.
Sharon Cellor. (721) Turtle Creek Lane.
Good evening, everyone. Sharon Cellor, 721 Turtle Creek Lane, St. Louis, Louisiana. I'm here on behalf of my mother, Dorothy Marshall. Ms. Kimbrelle Eugene asked me to represent my mother tonight because my mother was a witness to a blue ammonia plant in Orleans Parish. That blue ammonia plant was built on Leander Street in the Gregson area. Her family was affected by that plant. Although they got paid money for the damage that was done to their bodies, they're still deceased. They're not here. As a resident of St. Rose, I've been here 50-some years. As Marshall Dickerson stated, the amenities we had, like we could go out in the backyard, pick figs, eat berries off the trees, pick mint off the ground, eat honeysuckles. We can't do all that anymore. We can't even get trees or fruit to grow in the yards, like talking about it. So to this ammonia plant, also one other point I'd like to make with the drainage, everything looked like it's draining in the third section of Preston Hollow on Turtle Creek Lane. 15 gallons of water in it, and I am pissed about that. So to that ammonia plant, no, no, no.
Michael Giarrusso.
Look, come on, Mike.
Michael Giarrusso, 423 Oak Grove, Victory, St. Louis. If this plant is so clean and so good, why don't they build it in their backyard?
All right.
That president built it in his backyard, the company built it in their backyard. We got enough chemicals around here and we don't need any more. So I oppose this.
Margie Eugene-Richard, and again, I ask everybody to state their name and their address and if they're representing somebody who they're representing. Margie Eugene-Richard.
My name is Margie Eugene-Richard, or Richard, whatever you want to say. This is the most touching and hurtful moment in my life, yet it's the most wonderful time of the year. Why is that? Bethlehem morning and Christmas is more than just a memory for me. You can't bring, I did state my name, didn't I? I told you this was a difficult time for me.
It's all right.
And I'm a product of ill treatment, just like you. St. Rose came after Belton. Everybody focused on Donnie. Sister Rose and Donnie. Donnie was one of my students way back in Belton. Some of you. I know you don't mind, darling, but you see, I had to stand by her when her baby was gone. This place where I'm standing,
I had students who passed out because we were in a gym full of asbestos. And that's the gym here, this Destrehan time. Now let me go back and see if I can bring you home as to where I am. You can't bring my sister back. She taught in St. Charles Parish. She had a disease called sarcoidosis. How did they miss the boat? 10 years before the CDC, Armada Acid, thank God for it, came up to say somebody missed the boat and a doctor from a far land. And I'm going to call the name of that land. And the land was over in Egoni land. The place was called Lagos and Port Harcourt. They taught me how to treat my body because they had to drive me off the field back here from teaching soccer because I passed out, not knowing that it was a landfill. Not knowing, but you knew. Now here goes, because I could talk here from today until tomorrow. All right. And I still would stand up to ask you one question.
Come on.
What lesson did you learn?
Oh, come on. Right. Come on.
What lesson did you learn?
Come on.
I'm walking. The only reason I'm walking today is because I danced this morning.
All right.
Because the hip never stops. I see human beings all around. Now you don't know it, but I need to tell you something. The young lady who was a former member of Concerned Citizen of St. Rose, I'm a former president of Concerned Citizens of Marco. Now, some of you young people didn't read the whole story. You picked up from when you heard that I stepped to the front line. You see, you can't run me.
Ms. Richard?
My time is up.
You in after everybody else has a chance. I ask you to let people have a chance.
Let me come to the end.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is my question. I've heard that so many times. God bless you. I have all respect for you. Respect. You wouldn't say you're going to do on paper.
That's right.
Stop the acute and chronic offense.
All right now.
Won't only destroy us, but you're unfair to your workers. You're unfair to every human being. And may I tell you this? We all need air, water, and land.
Mr. Clarence Smith III.
Good evening. My name is Clarence Smith. I reside in 508 East Club Drive in St. Louis, Louisiana. I'm currently 20 years old. I do not go to school here. I attend Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. The reason why I came here today is because my good friend, her mom, Miss Eugene, invited me to come to this. And I'm doing a sociology research right now on Cancer Alley.
All right.
Cancer Alley is an 85-mile stretch that produces over 150 chemicals in petroleum plants, and over 200 toxic chemicals are emitted into the atmosphere on a daily basis. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, is aware of this. They are aware that these plants are overproducing chemicals, and they do not care. The reason why is because predominantly the land that we are standing on today is from indigenous people, it's slave land, and more than likely, we are ancestors from our ancestors that were slaves. So, what does that tie into? That ties into gentrification, that ties into environmental racism. And why is that? It's because predominantly these towns that Cancer Alley and these petroleum plants are sitting in are predominantly Black families.
That's right.
And minorities. You may not care because you're probably going home to a nice clean air environment and your kids aren't affected by this. I'm 20 years old. At the age of 8, I had asthma. We also have a 25% higher infertility rate in Cancer Alley than any other area in this country. So what does that mean? That means that Black babies aren't born. Mothers, Black mothers, are high chances to go unprotected in giving birth. They have the highest death rates while giving birth.
No.
And then on top of this, we are breathing toxic air. If you are a human, and if you have any decency in your bones, you would understand that this is not okay. This should be stopped. Do you want your kids to be suffering from this? If you have a daughter, would you want your daughter to suffer from a miscarriage? No. So, I want to say I'm against this, and I hope you will wake up and realize that this is not okay. Thank you.
Gabe Miller.
My name is Gabe Miller. I'm 1220 South Columbine Street, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm on behalf of Performance Contractors, representing iron workers, the pipe fitters, the welders, the craftsmen. I'm for this permit.
Jack Reno Sweeney.
My name is Jack Reno Sweeney. I live at 2915 Bank Street in New Orleans. I work in the area. I've spent my entire life living on this stretch of land between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, breathing its air and not the admittedly beautiful, pristine air of Denver, Colorado. So let's get some things straight about this plan this morning. It would not provide for energy security in any way whatsoever. It consumes a lot of power, likely more than it could produce. Most of it, well, what it produces, ammonia, as has been said. And ammonia is primarily useful as a feedstock for fertilizer. So they would make money by shipping this ammonia to countries that don't have access to natural gas to produce ammonia to produce fertilizer, namely Japan, China, Korea, and Europe. The other way they would be making their money are through new carbon capture tax credit schemes. So this does not provide for energy security at all. In fact, it raids taxpayer dollars for tax credits for a poorly conceived scheme of carbon capture and drives up the cost of fertilizer because we're sending the feedstock abroad, which leads to cost increases here at home. So let's call this plan what it is. It's a tax scheme. This is not really a minor source. This is, as many have already attested, an already overburdened area. Ammonia is a particular noxious substance, and it should be noted carbon capture projects have never, not in a single instance, come anywhere close to meeting their projected capture rates. In this case, the projected rate is 99%. In actuality, most carbon capture projects are lucky to get around 50%, 80% if they're really, really good, but oftentimes the equipment is shut down due to malfunction and maintenance, at which time it sequesters, obviously, 0% of the carbon. So this is not clean at all, it's not proven, and it's not safe, as experiences like those of the residents of Satarsha, Mississippi know all too well. When a carbon capture pipeline exploded and caused widespread oxygen deprivation, you see CO2 is heavier than oxygen, so it crowds out the oxygen in the area.
That nearly killed dozens and prevented the arrival of first responders because their engines stalled because there wasn't enough oxygen in the air to ignite the gasoline. Why on earth would we put this death trap next to a school? Why on earth do we keep making this mistake over and over again? And I'll close out by saying, this is not directed at y'all. Y'all at LDEQ here in front of me do excellent work, but your bosses are some really, really nasty individuals. How dare they disrespect these good people behind me, the people who live here, and claim that they were trying to disrupt the hearing, the previous scheduled hearing? The people here want their community to thrive economically and otherwise more than anybody, far more so than anyone from Denver. But they don't want to be lied to, and they don't want to be sacrificed in the name of corporate profits. Do not approve this plan.
He's right though. Right. He came out with that.
Daryl, Malek-Wiley.
Tommy, he's behind you. Oh, he's back there.
Good evening. My name is Daryl Malek-Wiley. I live at 618 Adams Street, New Orleans, 70118. I'm here representing the Sierra Club. We are totally opposed to this permit. We feel that DEQ has had major problems with this permit.
All right.
One, we feel it should be a major air permit rather than a minor air permit. We feel that the engineering analysis done by St. Charles Clean Fuels was based on the assumption that they're going to capture 90% of carbon. No place in the world captures that much. We feel this permit is also lacking in alternative analysis. St. Charles Clean Fuels did not look at other sites where they could have possibly built this, not next to a community, not across the street from a community, not next to a school.
All right.
In their permit, there is no analysis of worst case scenario, of accident from the ammonia leaking. There is no analysis in this permit. It talks about removing the carbon via a third-party pipeline. We don't know who that is. We don't know where it's going. A number of analyses have been done on CO2 pipeline accidents. And if CO2 pipeline leaks, because you can't see it, you can't smell it, they're talking about possible 2-mile impact either side of the pipeline as a possible kill zone. The community here does not deserve to be living in a kill zone because DEQ couldn't do its job to protect the environment and the people of Louisiana. In 1984, I was working with a community in St. Gabriel. And in working with that community group, we came up with the term cancerality. It was true then, it's truer now, and DEQ has not done anything to protect the people of Louisiana from the chemical pollution of these plants. And this plant should not be permitted. We have put in other comments by written comments and we will try to put some more in. This whole concept of carbon capture doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's never worked any place in the world to the scale and scope we're talking about. Archer Daniel Midland, which is a company, ABM, has the first EPA permitted deep well injection of carbon in the US. They started injecting 5 years ago. It started leaking this year. There's no way this technology works. It's all about the money. It's all about corporations taking billions of dollars and community's health being taken not into account.
All right, take your time.
We will fight this through litigation if we have to.
Yes.
And we will support this community in every way we can.
Every way.
Thank you very much.
Denise Hillburn.
Go, get him, girl.
Good evening. Denise Hillburn, 592 Willow Ridge Drive in Luling, Louisiana. I don't live within a 2-mile radius, but I live within a mile of the freshwater diversion project, which feeds a wonderful cypress swamp that's a wonderful neighbor, and whose inlet at the Mississippi River is in a 2-mile radius. So whatever goes into the river can come down the freshwater diversion. And it affects us. And a lot of people in my neighborhood don't realize that. They don't even know what all this is about. But I know from history, because I've lived here in St. Charles Parish for nearly 7 years. My parents lived here. My grandparents lived here. I grew up in Quanville. And anything that goes on the East Bank affects the West Bank.
All right.
And anything that goes on the West Bank affects the East Bank.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't come tonight to talk about cancer, which is a very sore topic in my life. My grandparents who lived in Quanville died from heart attacks. Their children, their 10 children, died from a multitude of illnesses. Their grandchildren, my generation, has been blessed with autoimmune disorders. We have scleroderma, we have lupus, we have Sjogren's, we have asthma, we have arthritis, we have some that haven't even been identified yet. This is our blessing for living in Cancer Alley. My husband died in 2009 from lung cancer. He worked in the petrochemical industry offshore. My sister died 2 years ago from lung cancer. She lived here most of her life. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2020 and diagnosed with lung cancer and had surgery for that 2 years ago. From, I guess, living in Cancer Alley?
Yeah.
My doctors, my oncologists refer to it as Cancer Alley. They know what it is. I love this country. I love this state. I love living next to swamps. I know what they do. They refine the water. They clean the air. They have a multitude of flora and fauna. Sometimes it's in my backyard. That's okay. I can live with that. I hate to see our parish being taken over by this. It's provided a good life for my family. My father worked at Shell in Norco for most of his life. But I don't believe that we can coexist and both thrive. So something has to go.
Thank you. Stop it now.
No more!
Stop it now. Right now.
Ray Gregson.
Thank you. Thank you. You did good. I should have taken the jacket off. Yes. when you get up there talking, you probably sweat.
Wait for him to show that 30-second sign, too.
He's gonna be.
Good evening, my name is Gregson, representing the River Region Chamber of Commerce and the CPO. I live at 314 La Superior in Louisiana, 70070. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of the permit, the minor source air permit for safety. St. Charles Clean Fuels will utilize cutting-edge technology to produce blue ammonia, a product that is not just clean, but revolutionary. By capturing 99% of the carbon dioxide generated in the process, the facility will create a carbon-free ammonia product. Ammonia can serve as a clean fuel and as a key feedstock for fertilizer industry, addressing both our energy needs and agricultural demands in an environmentally responsible manner.
No.
He has 3 minutes left.
The environmental benefits are clear, but the economic impact on our community is equally compelling. St. Charles Parish is one of the largest financial investments in its history. The staggering $4.5 billion leading toward this project. This investment will not only bring an influx of sales tax revenue in the immediate future, directly benefiting our schools and public services, but it will also pave the way for sustained financial growth through ad valorem revenue.
Where's your neighbor?
That's
Please, let each speaker, please respect them, let them speak. You give out to speak, you're respecting your time, please respect their time.
As long as, how long they live.
In fact, thanks to ad valorem revenue, our parish has been able to lower millage rates for the last several years, with the largest reductions in 2023 and 24. This project will ensure these financial benefits continue. Beyond the financial benefits, St. Charles Clean Fuels facility will create approximately 1,000 construction jobs each year during the building phase, providing much needed employment opportunities. Once operational, will offer over 200 permanent jobs, with an average annual salary ranging from $80,000 to $90,000. High paid wage jobs.
No.
These are not just jobs, they are stable, well-paid careers that will support families and contribute to the overall prosperity of our parish. In conclusion, I respectfully request the approval of St. Charles Clean Fuels minor source air permit. This project represents a significant step forward for clean energy, a monumental economic opportunity for our community, and a model for how industry and community can work together for mutual benefit. I'm confident that this permit, St. Charles Clean Fuels, will not only meet but exceed the expectations, leading us toward a brighter future, brighter, more prosperous future. Thank you for your time and consideration.
How much you got paid? How much you got paid? Liar.
I'm not speaking is Joe Banner.
Oh yeah, but all the ones in favor just repeat exactly what the website said. They don't have any.
We forget that we have a nuclear power plant to add our portfolio with. Asher. She's got something to say.
Good evening, my name is Jill Banner. I'm from Wallace, Louisiana, 5601 Highway 18. Thank you for the opportunity to leave my comment. It's the Christmas season, the time of the year when we're asked to suspend our disbelief in order to believe in the magic of Santa Claus, the magic of reindeers and red noses, the magic of elves, etc. But for the residents of Cancer Alley, the season to suspend disbelief is all year round. Instead of believing in the magical light of the North Star, we're asked to believe in the flares and the plants around us. Instead of believing in the magic smell of baking cookies, we're asked to believe in the foul smells from the plants and the headaches they cause. Instead of believing in the magic of Santa Claus, we're asked to believe in the boogeyman, the along the river. Now you're asking us to believe in the fairy tale of CCS, when it's been proven to fail. But this fairy tale is more than just a story. It's a nightmare. And the only gifts it leaves us under the tree are cancer, dementia, asthma, miscarriages, pain of all sorts. And despite all of us bending backwards, despite all of the subsidies that Louisiana has given to industry, we have been voted one of the worst places to do business. We are voted as the least happy place. We are climate vulnerable. So if industry is the answer, all of our lobbyists and our business people here, why hasn't it been the answer? I would like to know. I know we have lobbyists from the other side with their suits and their glossy marketing telling us that all we're making is noise. But you don't have to look far to see the blood on their hands. Just walk outside. You can see it, you can smell it, sometimes you can even taste it. I drove through three different odors, in St. Charles Parish, just for my short drive over here. 3 different smells. It's funny that you have the comments divided by miles, because I can see the flares from St. Charles, from the bridge in St. John, and even my backyard. I can smell it from St. John. When the plants in St. Charles exploded, I felt my house in wildest shape. Some of us are descendants of the enslaved. Our ancestors did not die for our freedom, for us to be locked in a chains of pollution. And I'm here, and I heard someone say we need to listen to both sides. But there's only one side when you're dead. And we all know where that's at. I know there's going to be those that are trying to sell it, but y'all, we're not buying it anymore. Please deny this permit. Please say the end to this horrible fairy tale. Thank you.
So I'm going to ask the speaker to continue stating their name, their address, and if they're with the organization, what organization they're representing. I would also ask everybody to please allow the speaker to speak uninterrupted. Please allow them to make their statements. If you'd like to speak, you'll be given an opportunity. Our next speaker is Tim Johnson. Okay, Johnson leaves his time. The next speaker would be Desiree Luling.
Good evening. Thank you for holding this hearing tonight and allowing me to speak. My name is Desiree Lemoyne, and I proudly serve as the campaign manager for Industry Mix, a 501c4 nonprofit organization that supports responsible industrial growth in Louisiana. I'm here tonight to express my organization's support for a minor source permit for the St. Charles Clean Fuels state-of-the-art blue ammonia production facility in St. Louis. This project represents not just a substantial investment, but it also is a significant step forward in sustainable industrial development in Louisiana, the United States, and the globe. St. Charles Clean Fuels is poised to play a crucial role in the supplementation of global energy by producing blue ammonia. The design of the St. Charles Clean Fuels facility incorporates advanced safety systems and operational standards that meet or exceed regulatory requirements. This project is a model of low emissions industrial operations. Moreover, the implementation of a low carbon footprint project like the one today is crucial. St. Charles Clean Fuels' commitment to sustainable practices aligns perfectly with the community's values and collective vision for a low carbon future.
Not us.
Local schools and community services stand to benefit significantly from the increased economic activity and job creation. Excuse me. Increased funding and resources can further enhance educational programs and community services, thereby elevating the quality of life for all residents. Industry Makes believes that St. Charles Clean Fuels' proposed facility will be the cornerstone for sustainable development in St. Louis. It promises to enhance the local economy, provide quality jobs, and contribute to global efforts in environmental conservation. This project is a critical asset towards decarbonizing energy production. For all reasons stated above, Industry Makes urges the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality to grant a minor source permit to St. Charles Clean Fuels. Thank you.
Yeah, where do you live? You didn't say that. Say where you live. You only say where you live.
Blaine Gallagher.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Where do you live?
Nick Johnson.
Where do you live? Where do you live? Nobody lives.
Howard. Next speaker is Lance Lasser.
Another suit. Do you have an address? Yeah, there we go. Hurry! Go home! I'll be back. I'll be back.
Our next speaker is Justin Craig.
I'm Justin Craig. I'm 2520 Carnegie State Way, Denham Springs, Louisiana. Hundreds of employees who work in this area. So I'm full support of the project.
Bring it together.
Our next speaker is Mike Key. Mike Key. Lane Word.
Who's gonna buy y'all's houses?
That's
That's the property value.
That's what I want.
Who's gonna buy our houses?
Next speaker is Larry Jessic.
Of course, it's full support the project. That's all these people over there.
What's your address? What's your address?
Our next speaker is Stephen Chapman.
Got nothing to say. That's all of them. Look at all these people over here.
Next speaker is Andrew Howard.
Smile for the camera.
Bring the backwood.
Our next speaker is Baca Romero.
I can't work fast enough.
Well, they're all Romero, 240 Dyslexia Street, Blackman, Louisiana. Project. Every friend, well, most friends I've graduated with in Blackman, Louisiana, which is surrounded by this industry, works in that industry, and that's how they provide for their families. I can't think of what they would do if we didn't have all that industry around us. Appreciate it, gentlemen.
Go grow your garden. Plant your garden.
Next speaker is Brennan Rover.
Brendan Romero, 60120 LaFoux Street, Blackman, Louisiana. And Performance Contractors, we do support this project. One thing I would say is that growing up in Baguley Parish, I'd say that this parish reminds me a lot of the parish I grew up with.
And,
Do
we
our
got
practice.
three things, you know, a lot of new facilities came to Blackman, and a lot of people were against them. But it is how we make our livelihood. That's you know, like the first speaker just said, it's, you know, it's how we feed our families, it's the things that we do in these parishes.
But it's not gonna hit their
You know, I think it
generation.
will truly
It's
help the
gonna
economy
hit
and,
their children's generation.
and help the schools and the community as well. So thank you.
So enjoy it.
How are your wives doing with their autoimmune disorder? How are they managing that?
Our next speaker is Brady Fitzpatrick.
Might as well start writing it down.
That's why I handed it off.
Brady Fitzpatrick, 14 on Auburn Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here representing Direct New Orleans Inc. We are the Regional Economic Development Group for the 10 parish region of Southeast Louisiana. Here in support of this project. As the previous speaker mentioned, this supports 800 construction workers over the 3-year project. When fully operational, it'll support 200 permanent full-time jobs with an average salary of $80,000 to $90,000. Most importantly, will add in the parish $172 million in new household earnings. And from a statewide perspective, add about $1.2 billion in household earnings. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Wilbur Subro.
Good evening. My name is Wilma Subra from New Iberia, Louisiana. I have submitted previously comments on the St. Charles Clean Fuels proposed blue ammonia facility, initial modified minor source air operating permit in documents dated August the 22nd of this year. And also document September 26th of this year. Please consider the documents and all the issues included in the documents, as well as the comments that I submitted participating in previous public hearings on this issue. Since the public hearings and associated comments on August the 22nd of this year was the Louisiana Department of Energy and Natural Resources Office of Coastal Management public hearing for a coastal use permit for the blue ammonia facility in St. Rose, I will be submitting a hard copy of those documents to be sure that LDEQ includes them in the record and doesn't say, oh, that was a DNR issue and we didn't include those. I want to be sure they're included in that. The IMTT facility property on which the proposed blue ammonia facility is proposed to be located historically and currently is having negative health impacts on disturbing the well-being of adjacent landowners, community members in the area surrounding the IMTT facility, and in St. Rose itself. And you've heard a lot of that tonight. Some examples of the current situations associated with the operations of IMTT facility that have resulted in negative associated impacts and emissions indicates that the community members' health and well-being to adjacent community facility that's currently operating has a very, very negative impact on their health and well-being, and the proposed new facility would just add to that burden. So I want to be sure all those issues are included in the record from the previous hearings, both LDEQ and DNR. The top entries from the IMTT facility during 2004 and 2023 are associated with health impacts And I want to be sure those are included in the record. So it's not just, oh, the facility's operating, they're not having issues. There are a lot of issues and incidents, and I want those included in the record, and I will be submitting those to be sure you understand how poorly they are operating and how negative impact on the community members are occurring.
Yes, ma'am.
As a reminder, the IMTT facility consists of 208 storage tanks, 5 ship transfer berths, 3 barge berths, rail lines and rail cars, and pipelines. As you will see in the recent reports that I'm submitting for the record, additional storage facilities are being constructed in violation of DEQ's regulation. So the community is complaining about what's already there. They're also complaining about what is being constructed illegally to store all these toxic chemicals. So adjacent landowners and community members are opposed to the proposed location of the blue ammonia facility and its toxic emissions, and currently have their health and well-being already negatively impacted. They don't need their health impact further. And so I have a list of these documents that I'd like for you to include in the record to be sure they don't get omitted from the record and somebody goes back and says, no one submitted those. I submitted them before and I'm submitting them again. And once again, this is not the type of facility St. Rose needs in its environment, and it's destroying the health and well-being of the community. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Winona Beaumont. Okay, we're gonna mark the documents in the Super JV as hearing exhibit 1. Our next speaker is Winona Beaumont.
Good afternoon. My name is Winona Beaumont. I am a student attorney representing Ms. Gaynell Ellis through the Luling Environmental Law Clinic. I am speaking this afternoon to address the public trust duty which requires LDEQ to protect, conserve, and replenish the natural resources of the state, as well as the health of its inhabitants by conducting a thorough public trust review. If the application is approved, LDEQ will breach its duty as a public trustee because the application is 1, not avoided the environmental impacts to the maximum extent possible, and 2, has a cost-benefit analysis that is not adequate. We request LDEQ to deny the permit application. First, under its public trust duty, LDEQ must assess the potential and real adverse environmental effects of the proposed facility and ensure they are avoided to the maximum extent possible. St. Charles Clean Fuels, the permit applicant, fails to properly identify the adverse environmental effects of the proposed facility. For instance, the applicant underestimates their emissions calculations. As my colleague J.R. Greenwald will address, these conclusions come from a review by air expert Ron Sahu, who found serious deficiencies in their application. Additionally, the calculations provided by the applicant for criteria pollutants are also likely too low, and the facility would likely be a major source. These pollutants would worsen already severe pollution-related respiratory issues in Elkinsville, higher than 96% of the rest of Louisiana. In addition to the odor nuisance ammonia poses, the proposed facility would create a greater risk of disaster in the event of ammonia leakage, spills, and fires. Second, the public trust duty requires LDEQ to conduct a cost-benefit analysis of the environmental impacts, balanced against social and economic benefits that the facility purports to provide, and determine if the benefits outweigh the adverse impacts. However, the applicant relies on empty promises to appeal to the community of St. Rose. Job growth is one such empty promise. As my colleague Gianna St. Julian will expand upon, a recent study found zero link between parish-level job growth and industrial tax exemptions, which the applicant receives. Here, the costs are paid by the local community, while the benefits are seen only by St. Charles Clean Fuels. Furthermore, the cost of approving this facility would come at the expense of the state, of Louisiana at large, and rising healthcare costs due to pollution. An EPA assessment tool shows that the proposed facility would increase particulate matter and pollutants that lead to ozone. Estimates indicate the total health effects would cost Louisiana anywhere from $3 to $4.7 million in healthcare costs due to this pollution. Louisianans will bear the healthcare costs from these emissions increases. LDEQ has a duty to protect Louisianans from shouldering the costs of these empty promises and disastrous risks. For these reasons, we request LDEQ to deny St. Charles Clean Fuels application. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Giarrusso. I am a researcher at Luling Environmental Law Clinic, address 6329 Forest Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here at the request of Fine Community Empowerment to provide information related to the economic impact of the proposed chemical plant. It's important that LDEQ consider some of this economic data when making decisions related to this project, and the data shows that this plant is a bad deal for St. Charles Parish. According to St. Charles Clean Fuels Industrial Tax Exemption Program application, this chemical plant will create significantly fewer jobs than what they stated in their initial Louisiana Economic Development announcement in April of 2023. In fact, there are now 32 less jobs than their original estimates, and the chemical company hasn't explained what happened to these missing jobs. For all we know, these job numbers will continue to drop. And regardless of the numbers, there is no guarantee that a single job will go to a resident of St. Charles Parish. Particularly since this company is not headquartered in Louisiana, and the CEO lives out of state. Yet, these supposed jobs are accompanied by over $46 million per year in industrial tax exemptions, meaning St. Charles Parish will lose out on over $250,000 per job each year over the life of this contract, which is expected to last up to a decade. The lost revenue is triple the estimated average salary for these supposed jobs. The company's air permit application makes a big deal about all the indirect jobs that will be created to support their employees. But if the employees live outside St. Charles Parish or Louisiana, those indirect jobs will go elsewhere, while St. Charles is stuck with lost tax revenue. And we know that the profits from this project will be flowing back to investors in Denmark. These St. Charles Clean Fuel tax exemptions are part of a much bigger problem that can be seen throughout the parish and state. A recent Louisiana legislative auditor report found that industrial tax exemptions cost local governments in Louisiana about $1.5 billion in lost revenue annually, including over $100 million in lost revenue in St. Charles Parish. LDEQ must also consider that the people getting these jobs are not the same people who will have to breathe the toxic ammonia emissions from this plant.
Yep.
I recently co-authored a study that looked at the racial breakdown of the chemical employees in Louisiana using data from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, also called EEOC. We found that people of color get less than a quarter of the good-paying industry jobs in St. Charles Parish, even though they make up 1/3 of the working-age population. And the community that will be exposed to the most ammonia from this plant is Elkinsville, which is virtually 100% Black. LDEQ must rely on this data to make its decision, not empty promises fueled by foreign investors. So when a chemical company promises a relatively small number of jobs, LDEQ must consider that these jobs will not be distributed equitably and will cost the parish millions of dollars, while profits and jobs leak outside the economy to benefit people in other states and countries. Thank you.
Can it with the sour grapes?
I can be sour probably.
Good evening. My name is Clara Potter, and I'm a supervising attorney and clinical assistant professor at the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic, here tonight on behalf of Refined Community Empowerment.
and will also be submitting a comment on behalf of the Sierra Club, concerned citizens of St. John, the Green Army, and the Descendants Project. Before talking about why we believe this permit should be denied, I want to address why we believe LDEQ should recuse itself from making the decision on this application, and should have addressed the pending motion for recusal that we submitted on November 1st before holding this hearing. There are two primary reasons why LDEQ must recuse itself from this permit decision, both of which relate to statements that the LDEQ made after the last hearing on September 26th. Before that hearing, DEQ was put on notice that the venue was too small to accommodate the public interest in the project. And when the room filled past capacity, DEQ did the right thing that night by adjourning the hearing and saying that they would reschedule. But days later, in a statement to the press, DEQ called the events at that hearing unacceptable and an organized attempt to hinder economic growth and prosperity for the state and local communities. Not only is this statement false, but it warrants recusal for two reasons. First, this statement strongly suggests that DEQ has prejudged a key fact in this dispute and has already decided to grant the permit before even holding a public hearing or receiving all relevant evidence. As part of its public trust duty, DEQ must weigh the benefits and the costs of a project before making a decision on the permit. Specifically, it must determine that the environmental impact costs are outweighed by the social and economic benefits. Tonight, you'll hear detailed comments from my colleagues and from community members about why the costs of this project are clearly not outweighed by the benefits. And so I ask you, can LDEQ weigh this evidence fairly when it has already decided that this project will, quote, support economic growth and prosperity? And second, LDEQ should recuse itself because even if it hasn't decided whether the benefits outweigh the costs, its public statement has eliminated the appearance of complete fairness in these proceedings. The public and St. Charles Clean Fuels both have a right to an impartial decision maker on this permit. When DEQ labels residents' reasonable attempts to participate in a public hearing as unacceptable and an organized attempt to prevent their own community's prosperity, it suggests that DEQ is biased against those communities. And so again, I ask, can LDEQ fairly hear their concerns tonight, and does DEQ value their input as much as the input of St. Charles Clean Fuels? I kept a tally while people were speaking, and I only heard one person who lives within a 2-mile radius speak in favor of this project tonight. The folks here tonight deserve a fair decision maker on this permit. So we ask that DEQ rule on our pending motion to recuse itself. And because DEQ is holding the hearing tonight, this hearing here tonight, I will briefly comment on one aspect of why we think this permit should be denied, which several other folks have already commented on, which is the carbon capture facet of this application. St. Charles Clean Fuels claims it will capture over 99% of its carbon dioxide emissions. No facility to date has come anywhere close to this. And more concerningly, there's nothing in the application about the CO2 pipeline or Class 6 well, which pose tremendous risk to the community. And finally, we ask that DEQ deny this application, and I would like to submit as an exhibit into the record the introduction of the 3 student attorneys who will be speaking here tonight with the clinic: Winona Bomar, J.R. Greenwald, and Sidra Hansen. Thank you.
The parish has already shown its prejudice because of the same thing anyway. Talking about how poorly behaved.
We're going to accept these 3 documents as Exhibit 2 and 3 documents.
Showing their bias behavior.
2 documents as Exhibit 2 and below. My next speaker is the Reverend Blue.
You can do it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Reverend Art Blue. I reside at 12 Shadow Lane, Destrehan, Louisiana. I am a resident of Elkinsville, St. Rose. I'm here on behalf of Defined Community Empowerment and these residents that are here under the sound of my voice. We do not need the construction of this potentially dangerous facility built in our backyard. Ammonia is very, very dangerous. If we were to experience a large enough leak of that ammonia, and if the wind is blowing in the direction of the community that is adjacent to or close proximity of this plant, these people will be killed for lack of oxygen. I don't know how many of you remember the 1988 catastrophic explosion. If we would experience an explosion of that magnitude at this potentially blue ammonia plant, there probably will be no survivors within that mile, a mile and a half radius. We don't need this ammonia plant in St. Rose, no ammonia plant in our backyard. Right. Thank you. Right. Yeah. In addition, I have 1,000 signed petitions in opposition of the construction of this ammonia plant. This is 1,000 in addition to the ones that I've already previously given you. So this is your copy.
Will accept this petition from Wade here in Exhibit 3. Our next speaker is Sidra Hansen or Harson.
Good evening. My name is Sidra Hansen, and I am a student attorney also representing Ms. Gaynell Ellis in the Tulane Environmental Law Firm. As my colleague stated, LDEQ has a constitutional duty to act as a public trustee of the environment. This is not a passive duty, but one through which LDEQ must actively and affirmatively protect the rights of the public. In addition to adverse effects and costs and benefits, the public trust doctrine requires LDEQ to consider alternative sites. St. Charles Clean Fuels alternative sites analysis is superficial at best and deceptive at worst. An alternative sites analysis asks whether there is anywhere else this facility could go that would be better for people and for the environment. This is an air permit application, but St. Charles Clean Fuels alternative sites analysis is silent about air quality impacts. It does not talk about how close the different sites are to other sources of air pollution, and it does not discuss whether communities at the different sites are already overburdened by pollution, like St. Rose and especially Elkinsville. Under its public trust duty, LDEQ must serve environmental justice, which means considering Elkinsville's already disproportionate pollution burden. Several members of the Elkinsville community have talked tonight about the pollution that they already experience at home because of IMTT. People hanging their clothes outside and noticing that they have a chemical smell when they take them back in. Our client unable to sleep at night and having to leave St. Rose to stay in a hotel because of the fumes in the air. LDEQ must consider air impacts in its alternative sites analysis. The factors that St. Charles Clean Fuels does consider are flawed and incomplete. First, many of the necessary criteria to make this project happen also exist at other sites, like river access, industrial zoning, and CO2 tie-in. Also, St. Charles Clean Fuels application claims that the St. Rose site is sufficiently isolated from the public, but its own maps show parts of the facility crossing the 2,000-foot residential buffer zone that is required by the parish. Not only do several of the alternative sites lack this extreme residential proximity, but the residents in this room tonight show just how many people would be impacted by this facility. Additionally, other sites are not true alternatives. The Riverplex site, for example, is the proposed site of the new CF Industries Blue Ammonia Complex. Furthermore, St. Charles Clean Fuels claims that the St. Rose site would not impact cultural resources, but its maps erase Elkinsville's, leaving out the historic Freetown Cemetery at 2nd and Short Street. These omissions and contradictions leave it difficult, if not impossible, to meaningfully weigh alternatives under the public trust doctrine. However, even this piecemeal analysis suggests that other alternative sites are better options, or at the very least, that the same things are here that cause St. Charles Clean Fuels to reject alternative sites. For these reasons, we urge LDEQ to deny this air permit application. Thank you.
Yeah. J.R. Greenwald.
My name is J.R. Greenwald, and I'm here tonight as a student attorney for the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic, speaking on behalf of Ms. Gaynell Ellis to urge LDEQ to reject St. Charles Clean Fuels permit application. LDEQ should deny this permit for two reasons, which are based on the analysis of an air expert, Dr. Ron Sahu, whose report we will attach to our written comments. First, SCCF is very likely a major, not a minor source of criteria pollutants, so it must comply with the requirements for major sources. And second, SCCF almost certainly underestimated the impact of its ammonia emissions on nearby communities like Elkinsville. To my first point, SCCF's emissions calculations vastly underestimate its potential emissions, in part because they use improper emission factors. For instance, SCCF uses emission factors which are average figures to calculate its maximum potential emissions, a practice that EPA itself has criticized. SCCF also uses emission factors based on what it claims is a similar facility, but it does not name that facility or show that its chemical processes are in fact similar. Dr. Sahu concluded that proper calculations would reveal that SCCF is a major source for multiple criteria pollutants. Now, why does it matter so much whether SCCF is a major or a minor source? Because major sources must comply with extensive Part 70 regulations. For one thing, to comply with these regulations, SCCF would need to do a more thorough analysis to show it complies with the best available control technology. In his expert report, Dr. Sahu identified several instances in SCCF's application where it should have evaluated using safer, more stringent emissions controls. These failures demonstrate a lack of regard for the health of residents of communities like Elkinsville and St. Rose. To come into compliance, SCCF would need to evaluate using safer technologies. To my second point, SCCF's application also underestimates the impact its ammonia emissions will have on nearby communities, communities that are already overburdened with toxic industrial pollution. In its air quality dispersion modeling, SCCF estimated the ambient concentrations of ammonia already existing in the area. SCCF claimed to have accounted for all sources of ammonia emissions in a 20-kilometer radius, but it did not provide a list of the sources it considered, and at a minimum, we know it failed to include at least 13 distinct sources of ammonia from INTT. SCCF also used reported ammonia emissions instead of permitted ammonia emissions in its modeling, which, as Dr. Sahu notes in his report, very likely resulted in underestimating the additional impact of SCCF's ammonia emissions. In sum, SCCF is likely a major source but failed to comply with the requirements for major source applicants. And it underestimated the impact its ammonia emissions will have on local residents. These strict application requirements are not just about getting more numbers on the paper. These requirements are in place to protect the health of residents who live right next door to these facilities. The people of Elkinsville and St. Rose, and all of St. Charles Parish for that matter, are already dealing with disproportionately high rates of air emissions. LDEQ must deny this application to prevent this situation from worsening even further.
Andrea Lowe.
You don't want to.
Larry Saporu Jr.
Good afternoon. I'd just like to say that I'm opposed to the ammonia plant facility being built in St. Rose. There is no buffer zone. There's no safe buffer zone for the people in St. Rose to survive. With the number of illnesses we have within the community, people living on a fence line are suffering, I think it would be very wrong to close your eyes and put an ammonia facility on top of this community. So I ask you to not approve this air permit.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm 502 Highway 18, Edgar, Louisiana, 70049. Remember, concerned citizen of St. John Parish, and remember the Refined Community Incorporated of St. Rose.
David Steinman.
You had some Trojans, like you're a Trojan. You might have went to school with the juice.
David Steinman. I represent the Healthy Living Foundation Chemical Toxin Working Group, which is a California nonprofit and legal advocacy group for consumers. We try to get poisons out of products, many of which are being produced here in Cancer Alley. We are here tonight to oppose the air permit for the blue ammonia plant that's being proposed in St. Charles Parish. We've published a newspaper called Rise of Concerned Citizens of St. John and Rice St. James, and in our first issue, we looked at the consequences of what's happening in Cancer Alley to Louisiana, and one of the areas that we looked at was carbon sequestration. And we'd like to echo what the Tulane Law Center has said in the Sierra Club. The DEQ has not considered that most carbon sequestration projects rapidly under-deliver in terms of the emissions they capture. In this case, the plant will claim to capture CO2 emissions, but it doesn't capture nitrous oxide emissions, which are many times more potent than carbon dioxide in terms of being a greenhouse gas. In addition, with the Trust to Protect the Public Health, the DEQ hasn't looked at the impact of pollution, in particular ammonia pollution, on infertility, children's IQ, and miscarriage rates, all of which should be considered in whether or not to grant this. The company has not disclosed where its excess carbon will be stored.
Cross River.
And that makes the allocation incomplete.
They still need to build out big lines.
The injection wells that might be
They still need to build the
used
pipelines, so they
are
don't
in
actually
an
know where it's going.
earthquake-prone area.
But it's
River
probably,
Parish has
it's
had
probably
several
going there.
earthquakes over the last century. And these earthquakes can cause carbon dioxide to leach from where it's being stored into water supplies and ruin drinking water for people. Right now, 1.3 million Louisianans depend on the Mississippi River with atrazine, hexachlorobenazine, silazine, and other toxic chemicals. Now, DEQ is considering placing the groundwater resources of Louisiana under a high risk too, because if these get polluted, then Louisiana won't have any clean water left. And there is not a single carbon capture sequestration project that hasn't leaked. It's going to leak. There's going to be leaching. And it's already causing biological harm to Lake Mariposa for one of the areas proposed for storing the carbon from plants like this one, and the other one in the section there is Lake Mariposa. And already Lake Mariposa is suffering ecological devastation from all the explosions, from the testing, from changes in the environment on the bottom where the explosions have occurred. And I think it's a big risk, and our group thinks it's a big risk. The DEQ has not looked at where the carbon dioxide will be stored. It's an incomplete application. And for these reasons, and because of the health implications that haven't been looked at, I'm particularly concerned about children's health, IQ, and rates on miscarriage and infertility. The application is incomplete and should be denied. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Newman Sanders.
Where did this come from? Which direction? Like this going back that way? Is that the direction that's right here?
Hi, I'm Newman Sanders, 19 Kimbrelle Lane, St. Rose, Louisiana, 70087. I'm from this community. I'm not from Baton Rouge or from anywhere else. Myself and my children own homes in this community. And thanks for letting us be heard tonight. Thanks for rescheduling this meeting. To some people in this room, we're just a bunch of second-class citizens, undeserving of a quality of life equal to their own. It seems like most of those in favor have something to do with the construction companies.
Yeah.
We're going to make a lot of money off of building this plant. And live nowhere near. Let me just say, I reached out to quite a few of our parish government. Ms. O'Daniels was nice enough to stop when she was walking her dogs and speak to me about it for a few minutes. Also, our parish president, Matt Jewell, was nice enough to return my phone call and spend a lot of time talking to me about this. However, Senator Greg Miller and Representative Beth Billings both promised to call me back, but they never did. They didn't have time to talk about this. Remember that when they're begging for your votes. Make no mistake, this is only about money.
Right.
And in no way about our quality of life.
All about money. Ain't that something?
Cancer Alley. They refer to us as Cancer Alley, right? So just what we need is another plan, since it's not bad enough already. So let's just put another one in our backyard, the place where we raise our children and our grandchildren. I had no notice prior to about these meetings. Prior to the last one that was scheduled, I had a flyer on my door, printed up by a neighbor. Other than that, we had no notice about any of this. I didn't even know this existed, although it had been in the works for years. The last meeting was scheduled at the library in a room designed to hold 50 people. The fire marshal hadn't shut it down because too many people showed up, and I think it was planned that way. I think that you guys, the people in charge of this ammonia plant, didn't think we cared enough to even show up.
All right.
And no correspondence whatsoever. If it weren't for the man riding around my neighborhood on a what they call a loudspeaker, a bullhorn out his window, I wouldn't know about this one, other than through social media. No letter in the mail. Nothing. They know how to get in touch with you, though, when it's time to collect your property tax. But what about the promises of all their safety measures? What about a catastrophic event while our kids are at school and we're at work and we can't get to them? A train derailment, a wreck on River Road, a barge wrecks in the river, ruins our quality of life for how many years? Google ammonia spills and watch how many people it kills. It sucks the oxygen out of the air. Is this what we need in our backyard? Will you guys who live in Baton Rouge give up?
Mr. Sanders, your time is up. Would you please? You get it up to the top and send that one time. Everybody will get a chance to get it off. Next speaker, get the microphone.
Please do reject this application.
Mr. Earl Williams.
Thank y'all this evening. My name is Earl Rhodes. I live at 121 Oak One Ridge Lane in St. Rose. I was the one who spoke up to say, please give professional courtesy to everyone. That goes on both sides. So Ray Gregson was up here, the only representative of St. Charles Parish government to come up and speak. So I appreciate that. I appreciate his courage to come up here and speak for it. Although it had been financial, but it was for the residents of St. Charles Parish and the school board and such like that. Everyone else that has come up here to refuse to give their name, address, and whatever else to speak for. A couple other ones just give their names. So I'll have to assume that y'all are all representatives of the company. No. And the only part of it is money. All right. It's all about money. Denton Springs, Baton Rouge, everybody's all about jobs and trucking in, coming in to get jobs, welders, pipe fitters, such like that. Doing the pipelines, building facilities. I do work in the industrial environment here in St. Charles Parish. I was born and raised in St. Bernard Parish. I worked in a chemical plant in St. Charles Parish. I now work at Waterford 3, the nuclear facility. So I have had the blessing of industrial environment and the benefits that it has had for my family. I will not, ever, do not want to raise my family next door to a chemical facility. Yes. Now, as an Oak One Ridge member, a resident of Oak One Ridge, I'm on the other side of RMTT from all of y'all that are here tonight. So this is not just a black thing. No. It's not. No. Yeah. So there are several black individuals who live within my community. There is one individual in my neighborhood who works for IMTT. So talk about jobs within the local community. Where are those jobs?
Yep.
Working for the last 30 years of my life in industrial environment. I work for ExxonMobil and I work for Entergy. Most of the individuals who work in these facilities do not live in the community.
Yes, true.
Less than 25% of all employees live within the community where these facilities are built.
That's correct.
Some of them do, and they provide a good living. However, the majority of it is not. So that is not a community economic bonus per se. Because most of them truck themselves in, drive an hour and a half to come into work. And then leave and go back home.
That's correct.
Yep.
So, IMTT.
Is he spending money there too?
I moved into Oak One Ridge in 2005 before Katrina. All of my family from St. Bernard Parish all lost their homes with Katrina and the flooding. I was the only one who had a home left. So on any given day, I had 30, 40 people living in my brand new house that I built. Every evening, every morning, I work as, again, industrial environment, so I do shift work. I come home at night, and the odors are horrendous throughout Oak One Ridge. You can't.
You can't leave the windows open.
You can't leave the windows open. You open the door, you go inside,
You leave from clean air, you come to the community, and it stinks. The air is heavy in the mornings, everything settles down. What do you think Ammonia's gonna do?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's gonna settle down and everybody's gonna smell it. You're all on the east side, us on the west side. It's all the same thing. Every morning, every evening, every day. Talk about buffer zones. And IMTT as a concerned community. So IMTT expanded their tank farm towards Oaklawn Ridge. Expanded it west. We in Oaklawn Ridge opposed that expansion before it happened when they added the other 20 large tanks that was on that side. And the word that was given to us was the community was built within a buffer zone. Y'all have nothing to say about it. And the tank farm was constructed. So what do you think the rest of us gonna do? Let's talk about LDEQ, environmental impact.
Oh, you don't like that. 30 seconds.
How many of y'all had to go around for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years because you couldn't drive down River Road because of the flooding every time that it rains? And let's talk about that. What do you think's gonna happen when they fill in the wetlands behind it and there's drainage for that? The highest road in St. Charles Parish is always underwater because of the local industries not taking care of the drainage. Thank y'all for your time. And again, I am disappointed with LDEQ's response and saying that we are just interrupting to economic development. No, it's concerned citizens who live in the area who don't want this in their backyard.
Not that room, not Destrehan, not everywhere else. Same road.
Our next speaker is Gregory Swapper.
I'll keep it short. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gregory Swarford. My address is 2620 New York Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70122. I'm the Southeast Louisiana organizer at LDEQ. I'm also a generational descendant of this region. I'm here to express my strong opposition to the air permit application submitted. You know, my father was born in Reserve, Louisiana. He worked at DuPont for some years while putting himself through Xavier University. He worked 12-hour daily shifts at the plant while he took 21 hours of coursework each semester to graduate. It was a sacrifice on his body. Fortunately, he sustained no injury or illnesses from his time there. This was long before I was a thought, but he had in mind a brighter future for me. That was back in 1991. He decided to move to New Orleans and search for a better future and found it. Today I'm standing here speaking because of his sacrifices. St. Charles Queen Fields may argue that this facility will create jobs and strengthen the oil and gas sector, but we must question who will truly benefit from these jobs. Historically, communities like ours have seen promises of employment that often do not materialize for local residents. Instead, we are left to bear the burden of pollution and health risk without the economic benefits that were promised. You know, it's the same song, the economic disparity in our community will only deepen if this permit is granted. I'll keep it short. In conclusion, I urge the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality to reject this application. We must prioritize the health and well-being of our community over short-term economic gains. So my recommendation is working towards a sustainable solution that truly benefits all residents of Louisiana. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Esaluka.
My name is Michael Esaluka. I live at 1866 Utility Boulevard in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm not a resident of St. Rose, so I wasn't initially planning to speak tonight. I just wanted to listen. But when I heard all the comments, I thought I wanted to stand up and say something and I want to speak today. I'm with Louisiana Against Health Solutions. I support a lot of the groups here, but I wanted to speak today as a young person and as a full-time student at the University of New Orleans. Because, you know, the men who came here today representing their unions, I respect you. I think you work hard, you know, to support your families, and that's something that is worthy of respect. And UNO just put out this survey that found that Louisiana lost 8,000 jobs in the past year. Our economy is not doing well. In 1990, 40% of our state revenue came from the oil, gas, and petrochemical industry, and today it's 4.5%. I took a lot of notes, so let me just get this straight here. There's a lot of different things that create the foundations for a stable and healthy economy, and that starts with healthy communities and an environment where businesses can thrive. Right now, St. Rose is within the risk management plans of 5 industrial facilities that store hazardous chemicals on site, and so they are required to create a risk plan in the event of a disaster, a chemical disaster. St. Rose is within 5 of those facilities. We talked a lot about the dangers associated with ammonia production. According to the Coalition to Prevent Chemical Disasters, there have been 82 chemical incidents related to ammonia storage and production between December 13th, 2023 and December 13th, 2024 in this country. And most of the time, it was workers that had to deal with those impacts. Construction is a major source of jobs, but these are temporary jobs. And when it comes to the jobs that are actually in the plants, it's fewer and fewer every year. And those jobs are not union anymore. It's more and more their contracts. You don't get benefits. You don't get long-term disability. You don't have the safety and protection that a union would bring. And when the plants come in, communities start to die. I've seen it in St. James Parish, in Plaquemines Parish, in St. John Parish. They close down elementary schools, high schools. They close down post offices. They close down community centers. And when the residents leave and the children leave, businesses cannot survive. Property values go down. Multiple people spoke today about how they built their own homes. How must it feel to have to deal with a chemical plant being built next to your home, outside of your control, and to have everything that you've invested in your entire life, having to go down because of that? Insurance gets higher. St. Charles Parish Master Plan said that the St. Rose watershed needs $30 million in drainage improvements. St. Charles Clean Fuels, for 1 year of operation, are going to get a $46 million tax break.
That's right.
They said they're going to create 216 permanent jobs. Maybe it's 32 less than that, as we found out. But for just 1 year, that is, okay, they said it'll be a $90,000 per year average, so that's not in the middle. That's an average of the top executives and the custodians and the contract workers. So we don't actually know what the middle of that would be, but say it's 216 direct jobs, it's $212,000 in lost revenue per job for St. Charles Parish per year. So I wanted to say this all because I'm not against you, and in fact, I wish that we could get to a situation where we don't have to pit communities and workers against each other, because that is divide and rule. Who benefits when that happens? It's not us. None of us benefit. Workers aren't safer. We don't have more jobs. Communities aren't safer. We don't have a better business environment. Before Katrina, Louisiana ranked number 6 in the country in 5-year GDP growth, according to the Institute for Energy, Economic, and Financial Analysis. Today, we're 49 out of 50. What happened?
Jeez.
I'm just going to close it there. I wanted to speak because, I'm getting to the age where I have to think about my future. Do I want to have kids? Do I want to buy a house? Do I want to settle down? And even though the petrochemical industry has brought a lot of benefits to our communities, it's taken far more. And it's difficult for young people, for students, to feel like this is a place where we can build our communities, where we can build families. And so I'm going to close out, but it's not communities against workers. Politicians benefit from that divide, executives benefit from that divide, but we don't. We have to figure out a way to work together. But I oppose this facility.
Yeah. Okay, the time is 8:34. We're going to take a 10-minute break and resume this hearing at 8:45.
I'm speaking up. Can they do something about that? Can they do something about all that noise that's coming in there?
Please close the restroom door. The hand dryer is exceedingly loud.
All right, we're gonna start.
I did that. I want to do that when they would speak.
Switching cameras. I hope that doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so if you would like to make additional comments, Please line up behind the podium. For this round, each speaker will have 2 minutes. Just line up behind the podium and state your name, your address, if you represent someone who you represent, and you will go 2 minutes. So again, I ask everybody to please respect the speakers. I'm going to speak. Please be quiet. Please silence your cell phone. We're about to start again. So again, please everybody, if you could, be a little still, be a little quiet, let the speaker have the opportunity to make some comments uninterrupted. So please again, with our first speaker, please state your name, your address, and your affiliate, and please, we'll have 2 minutes for the second round.
Good evening, my name is Kimbrelle Eugene-Kyereh, 333 2nd Street, St. Louis, Louisiana. I am the founder and executive director of Replying Community Empowerment Incorporated, 501c3. Ms. Wilma Subra helped me with collecting a sample from the chemical fumes that came into my home from IMTT. And some of the chemicals that were detected, the toxic chemicals detected in the air sample were ethanol, which caused acute health symptoms, severe irritation and burning of the skin and eyes. Inhalation irritates the nose and throat, causes coughing and shortness of breath. Acetone was found. So this is not only in the St. Rose community in Elkisville, Freetown, this is also in your neighborhood, sir. I've been over there and smelling these fumes very, very strongly. Affects when the acetone affects when inhaled, it may be absorbed through the lungs. It can irritate the eyes, nose, and throat. Benzene irritates the skin and eyes, irritates the nose, throat, causing coughing and wheezing. It is a carcinogen in humans. It causes leukemia. Chloromethane. This is in my home. Coming through my windows, chloromethane causes nausea, vomiting, impaired respiratory irritation of the nose, throat, and lungs, causing coughing, wheezing, and shortness of breath, causes headaches, nausea, fatigue, and lightheadedness. Cyclohexane irritates and burns skin and eyes, irritates nose and throat, causing coughing and wheezing. Exposure can cause headaches, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting, causes lightheadedness, drowsiness. Inheptane irritates the eyes, nose, and throat, causes headaches, lightheadedness, and dizziness, loss of appetite, and or nausea. Inhexane, some of the same things, causing coughing, weaknesses, and shortness of breath, causing headaches, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and lightheadedness. The same for these other two. I'll come back. I would like to submit this. I'll come back. Thank you.
We'll accept that as Exhibit 4. Please pass it that way and show Margie it as Exhibit 4. Yes, sir. Please remember to state your name, your address, and with our organization.
Marshall Dickerson. I live on St. Rose Avenue, 429 St. Rose Avenue. I think it's very disrespectful for someone. Now, I understand you all have a job to do, but I see it as very disrespectful for people to come from other towns to tell the people that's fighting for our rights in this parish, our only place that we live, our children live, to talk about why green, blue ammonia is okay. They don't have the right to come here and tell us what's okay. They don't live here. And we appreciate if it's something they like. If it's something you like, stay where you like it in. But do not come here in front of us telling us what's good for us. And the other thing is that I just wish that you all had handled this thing altogether different. I really do. Because it was almost like you had something to hide. no one knew what was going on back there behind that airline until Miss Rose came and started telling us what was going on. And I don't think that's very sneaky. That's sneaky, that's unfair to the people of St. Rose to do that. And I don't understand how peoples, the parish president, all of the peoples that represent us, let something like that happen because they don't care.
Good evening. My name is Eloise. I live at 2231 Drew Avenue in New Orleans. I'm a resident of New Orleans, speaking as a member of Louisiana Against False Solutions and also in support of refined community empowerment. Louisiana Against False Solutions is a network of Louisianans from St. Charles Parish to Lake Charles that are collectively fighting carbon capture and storage and the associated build-out, like these scams, the blue ammonia plants and the hydrogen plants. I wanted to share that permits do get revoked. Permits can be denied. And LDEQ can operate as a non-biased entity and listen to the voice of the people who are here today. Bayou Buff community was able to organize collectively and win, and they were able to overturn the proposed facility and well in their community. So I just want to speak to everyone here today to say, do not give up. It can happen. We can win, and we can save this community. And you can listen to the voice of the people. So many people here today are asking you and telling you to protect them, do your jobs, protect the environment, protect the culture, and protect our way of life. Louisiana cannot be replaced. Once the wetlands are gone, once the crawfish are gone, once the people are gone, you cannot get it back. People are leaving the state en masse, as my friend and colleague Michael pointed out. They're leaving due to hurricanes, lack of insurance coverage when our companies seem to always have insurance, lack of jobs that pay well, and many more reasons, including cancer and illnesses that everyone here seems to face today. I'm sure your families do as well. Is this the future that we can imagine for ourselves and our children and our state? I want us to dream bigger as a state. I want us to imagine something different for ourselves and for our neighbors. Can we take the skills of the construction companies and the union laborers and build something truly beneficial for our communities instead of just another chemical facility? As we travel up and down the river, speaking again and again against these permits, I try to imagine and believe in the day that we will win collectively. As Michael said, it's not residents against workers, it's people over pollution. Together, we can truly imagine and build a future in which we have clean air and clean water, and can we sleep through the night and we will not be awoken by chemicals. Imagine a different future for Louisianans. It starts with opposing this air permit and denying it and all of the other permits that this plant applies for. Thank you.
I'm Michelle Smith. I live in 163 Janet Drive, St. Rose. One thing I forgot to mention is that I think the fact that St. Charles Clean Fuels is touting working with IMTT as a comforting thing is far from it. Last year there was an accident at IMTT. I'm pretty sure a lot of you saw the fires and heard the sirens. In that, IMTT failed to fully develop and maintain safe work practices to provide for the control of hazards during operations. A hot work was not performed in accordance with the facility's own hot work policy. They did not identify and control residual flammable material in one of its tanks by identifying the content of the tanks accurately. They failed to minimize the consequences of accidental releases, and they did not anticipate the type of release that occurred. Their fire suppression system malfunctioned due to a valve failure. And now you want to put in an ammonia plant where a disaster, you know, high concentrations of ammonia can kill people. And people have a right to be worried about that. Another thing about the economic development, if your intention is to truly grow St. Rose, then why keep doing things that lower the property values of our citizens? The noise pollution, the smells, and it's frankly just ugly facilities. No one wants to move here because it's not only that, but it is increasing our health risks. And frankly, people don't want to build their families and work in areas that pose risk to their own health. And another thing is that these companies know how opposed we are to these things. They're not tone deaf to this. In fact, Energy in 2018 got caught hiring paid actors to show up and say that they were in favor of their power plant. So to that I'd say, please don't ignore that we are not in support of this and we do not want this in St. Rose.
I'm Joseph Coco, 40 Melrose Drive. I heard some
What town? What town?
Destrehan, Louisiana. I heard some gentlemen from Plaquemines Parish come up here, and it reminded me that amongst the 10 sites that were considered for this plan, Plaquemines didn't show up in any of those, and that seems a little suspicious to me. It seems like it'd be a great place for this plant. They seem to want it. The two gentlemen here seem like they want this plant, so we'd love to send it over to them. I also heard someone mention the master drainage plan. That's St. Charles Parish Master Drainage Plan. President Matt Jewell loves to talk about this. I think it's probably going to do some good work. We're making some good drainage decisions in the parish to remove some of this flooding, but it didn't take into consideration how much water this particular proposed plant is going to displace. So we spent all this money, did all this research to figure out what we need to do to alleviate this flooding that we have, and we're just going to put ourselves right back in this situation because, I don't know, greed, I guess. So I don't understand why we would just ignore this master drainage plan that we have. We have a problem with water. We're trying to solve it. We're making some progress, so let's not take a step back. Thank you.
Reverend A.C. Blue, Reverend A.C. Blue, is out at 12 Channel Lane, Destrehan. I just would like to say to St. Charles Clean Flumes and IMTT, we don't have anything against economic growth, but what we do have something against when your economic growth is going to affect the health and safety of the residents here in St. Rose. And for that reason and all the other reasons that people came up and spoke in opposition to this, LDEQ, please, do not grant the permit for the construction of this plant. Thank you.
Again, Arrow Road, 121 Oakmont Ridge Lane, St. Rose, Louisiana, right next door to IMTT. So this facility is being built, proposed to be built in my backyard. I'd like to thank everyone who came out tonight with lots of information, lots of research, spoken very eloquently, and a lot of knowledge, and engineers and lawyers and everything else, and backing up what most of the community was highly disappointed in with the LDEQ, the statements that they made about how we're just trying to block economic development.
Yep.
It's not. It's concerned citizens who don't want this in their backyard.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
We all have a family, ourselves, who are all part of industrial environments, retired from, have sons, daughters, nephews who work in different facilities around here. So we're not opposed to industrial environments. We are opposed to it in our backyard. And you can see it all up and down through the river parishes, how projects like this are getting blocked by LDEQ, by communities speaking out against it being done in their backyard. Move it 5 miles down the road. Put it somewhere else that's not in their residential backyard. And that is exactly what y'all doing. You're putting it in our backyards. overseas where they want this all going to. So I didn't say it the first time.
Send it back to
I am
Denmark.
opposed to this project. Thank you.
Once again, my name is Ryant Price. I reside at 101 Route Sydney Drive, St. Rose, 70087. So I pay close attention to everyone that's come up here to speak in favor for or in opposition to this plan. And I noticed that when people speak, you can see the skin that they have in the game, right? So everybody that spoke everybody that spoke in favor of this plan, that does not live in these communities, speak about immediate economic gain. Well, the immediate economic gain will be their gain, not our gain. Our gain will be possibly environmental catastrophe. Everybody that spoke in opposition to this thing basically came up here and talked about their quality of life that's being threatened. So, for the guys from Plaquemines, Baton Rouge,
downstreams.
there are plants all up and down this river, right? Plaquemines, Cornerstone, who's already making ammonia across the river, facilities in Dodgeville and throughout the whole Cancer Island corridor. These places, most of these places are tenant organizations, so a facility like St. Charles Clean Fields could easily go somewhere like this and occupy a facility that already has permits in place, already has infrastructure in place. What is it about this 200 acres of virgin wetlands that is so appealing to this project? Is it something that we don't know that you guys are, once again, that you guys are telling us? Because they have facilities, Cornerstone, I guarantee you, are welcome for another facility right now. I don't understand why you want to disrupt all this wetlands, and LDEQ is, once again, if you are our environmental quality agency, and all this wetland is being threatened, to me it doesn't even make sense why we would even consider this. When there are other facilities where this thing can go, or other areas that are less inhabited, that you can put this. So we aren't against economic development. We just don't want environmental destruction in our community.
Yes.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Margie Eugene-Richard, President of SCCF Concerned Citizens of Marco and Youth Concerned Citizens of Marco. I would just like to address this. There's a little town that a lot of people forget that I would like you to know. Belltown was beyond Diamond. And in 1972, I would like for you to understand there was no enforcement and compliance. EPA was not organized until 1972. And in 1972, there was no accountability. I consider myself to be a trailblazer. I know who I am, and by the way, thank you to the reverends and all who came before me. I am an evangelist, and I finished from Bible College in Reno, Louisiana, to understand more of the person that called me to do what I'm doing. I am a person who's out for humanity, and I've always said it took 25 to 30 years for all people across the land to understand that we all want the best type of life for our families. Now, I don't know what it is to be poor, and I don't know what you call poor, but they called us NGOs, non-government people. When we went around the world to tell our story, it's not just about telling a story. We were telling the truth. My father was a farmer. My cousin was a farmer. St. Rose were farmers. We came from a lineage. We don't know what it is to be without food. We don't know what it is to be without clothing. My sister was a seamstress who finished from Grambling State University. But as I look around and was on this mission for humanity, I said, my God, how in the world can anybody treat people this way? To industry, how could you treat the workers inside of the place that way? We breathe the same air. Yes. We eat the same food. I like it when they tell me I have 30 seconds left. Because if I have 30 seconds, be true to what you say on paper. They have the facts. You had the facts when we were in Narco, but you wouldn't use them. You brought us before an unjust judge. You brought us before a jury. We asked for a JNOB, and you wouldn't even give it to us. All right. You just kept on, and here it is today. I'll be 83 soon, and I'm so thankful that I can still move my legs because the God I decided to serve takes care of us. All right. I didn't say me, us. So why would you want to have somebody else, great-grandchildren? That's a touch for me. I have 3. And they stomping their feet. It's time for me to go. I'm going to tell you this. I know I'm just joking with you, but here goes. I'm telling the truth. Treat people like you wish to be treated. All right. Up mobility, sustainable development, progress. And may I ask you again, how could you do this to someone who's human just like you? All right.
Kimbrelle Eugene Kyereh, 333 2nd Street, St. Rose, Louisiana. Refined Community Empowerment Incorporated. To speak to the economic growth and development and the accusation that the residents were intentionally trying to disrupt the last meeting. I just want to remind LDEQ of your mission. The mission of Department of Environmental Quality is to provide service to the people of Louisiana through comprehensive environmental protection in order to promote and protect human health, safety, and welfare. So in order for us to be protected, we need for you, please, to deny this permit that St. Charles Clean Fuels is requesting. In addition to that, I'd like to say that it seems as if, and it feels as if, we're being environmentally bullied. And the reason I say that is, by definition, bullying behavior involves harm, an unfair match, and repetition. Harm means someone gets hurt physically, socially, or emotionally. Unfair match means the harmed individuals that they do not have the physical, verbal, or social skills to effectively resist the bullying behavior. Repetition means the harm and unfair match is repeated over a period of time. No more environmental bullying is what we're asking for. IMTT was fined by the EPA for emissions. They're still emitting and have not placed the scrubbers on the hazardous tanks that they said that they could do. And there must be oversight by LDEQ to keep residents safe and protected. This has been going on for decades, us getting these fumes in our homes. St. Rose needs 24-hour, real-time gold standard fence line monitoring like the one IMTT has around their Richmond, California facility that is smaller than this St. Rose site. Executives at IMTT showed us at one of their meetings the Chevron Richmond monitor. It is beautiful. It is state-of-the-art. That's the one we need, and that's the one we want. We do not want a bogus one that Lean is saying that they're partnering with IMTT. No new plants near people. LDEQ, we're asking you, please do not grant St. Charles Clean Fuels the air permit they are requesting. No ammonia plant in St. Rose. No more environmental bullying. No more environmental bullying. You're causing harm. Harm is being done We're being affected physically, obviously, and emotionally. This is an unfair match because we are human beings trying to live our lives and have a good quality of life, and we're against big industry that has lots of money, lots of influence, and pardon me, and lots of power. This has been going on, pardon me, for decades. Therefore, this is environmental bullying. Please stop. Thanks.
Is there anyone else who wishes to make a public comment? Anyone else? Come on down.
I got it.
May I please remember to state your name, address, and what association you're with.
Hi, I'm Becca Hillburn. I live on 40 Melrose Drive, Destrehan, Louisiana. I grew up across the river in Luling, Louisiana, so I'm a St. Charles Parish girl through and through. My mom and husband I talked earlier. Y'all talk about wanting to see economic growth, support industry. I am 38 years old. I have watched industry, businesses, small businesses leave our area because they just can't make ends meet. So why don't we turn our focus away from these major businesses that bring in people outside of Louisiana, that pollute us, that make us sick, and support our small local businesses? I actually contacted the St. Charles Parish government site about their small business Saturday and asked if I could participate. I don't have a brick and mortar, I'm a comic artist and I teach kids art. And I was asking if they could help me out. They said they would. I never heard back from them. Where is the support for these super small businesses, these mom and pop cottage industries that I'm sure many of you guys support, participate in? Isn't this also a type of industry? Isn't this more sustainable? And isn't this something that is the heart of St. Charles Parish, going back way before these plants were here? Anyway, if you guys care enough about our economics and you care about our environment, as is your proposed statement, I really hope you will reconsider supporting major businesses from other countries like this, and instead support small local businesses that are really struggling right now. Thank you guys for your time.
Are there any other persons who wish to make a comment? No one else approaching the podium. I'd like to remind you that the comment period for the code, conditional minor source, air operating permit, the associated environmental assessment statement, EAS, for St. Charles Clean Fuels LLC, Blue Ammonia Facility, ends at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Wednesday, December 18th at 2024. All comments, request for notification of final decision, and the transcript from the hearing are processed by the LDEQ Public Distribution Group and will be available on EDMS. Upon the issuance or denial of the proposed initial permit, notification is mailed to all commenters, speakers, and those who request to be notified of the final decision. The final decision notification includes information regarding the appeal process, the basis for the decision, and the response to public comments. I received a total of 4 exhibits during this hearing. If there are no other comments, I see no anybody else pushing the stadium, so there are no other comments. There are no comments. I'd like to thank you for your attention, participation in this hearing. Let the record reflect that the time is now 9:15 p.m. This hearing is closed. Good night.
Good night.